Welcome to the Hamumu Halloween Home Horror Hoedown, the podcast where we watch scary movies so you don't have to.
From award-winning to completely unknown, we take them all way too seriously.
I'm your host, Mike Hommel.
And I'm your host, Solange Hommel.
Now, warning, we use a ghoulish number of spoilers, so watch the movies first.
Second warning, we don't know anything about anything, so don't take us seriously as we take these movies seriously.
I don't know if it's audible to our listeners, but what a rainstorm is happening.
Tis raining very hard, and sometimes it's thundering, and I love it.
Yeah, but it's spooky, just like our movie.
Maybe when we're done recording this, we'll have to watch another scary movie. But first, we have to talk about what Josiah saw from 2021.
And what Josiah saw was a movie called What Josiah Saw from 2021.
That's a little meta for me. So Josiah was the dad, right?
Yes. Josiah and his son Tommy and his twin children, Mary and Eli.
Yes, and his wife, Miriam.
Yeah, but she wasn't in the movie much.
No, she wasn't, because part of the story is that she killed herself. I want to give a trigger warning for this one. There's a lot going on in this movie: death by suicide and incest. So if those are things you're not comfortable hearing about, maybe skip this one.
Don't be like Josiah.
Yes, because Miriam kind of kicks off the whole story, not in the movie, but like chronologically in the story. She kicks it all off by hanging herself from a tree.
Yes.
While her family's at church? I don't remember. Tommy was at church at least, because he left and then found her.
Yeah. I think it's just him. I think he was the only one who did that sort of thing.
Oh, that could be. They were a pretty dysfunctional family.
They were pretty dysfunctional.
And through the movie, they just keep getting more dysfunctional.
Yeah.
So this movie's told in like 4 parts.
I thought it was 3.
Well, there were 3 titled parts, but then there's like, then it all the parts kind of come together. I feel like the end was its own part, even though it didn't really have a title page.
Be that way.
But there's 3 titled parts and then the conclusion. And the first titled part.
Good heavens.
The first titled part was called The Curse of Willow Road.
And this curse was that a company wanted to build something or the other, and so they wanted to buy all the houses on Willow Road.
I think it was an oil company. It's always an oil company.
Yeah, it was. And they offered them lots of money for this house, which is part of the driver of events going on.
They being Josiah, or Pa, and Tommy, his youngest son, who is not entirely all there.
No, it's not very explicit about what's wrong with Tommy, but he's pretty wrong.
Yes. I mean, he's, he manages, he's doing farm work, and we find out at one point that he was married and had a kid, and I mean, he's functional, but he's clearly not the smartest knife in the drawer.
True. And the titular event in this film occurs maybe 3 minutes into the movie when Josiah says, "You know what I saw this morning?" Why? And he goes on and he speaks very flowerily about the fact that he saw a leprechaun doing a jig and then farting out a rainbow. And so that is what Josiah saw. End of review.
Tommy gets mad at him, not mad, but like laughs and is like, haha, that's not real. Leprechauns aren't real. And Josiah uses that as a moment to like give him grief for believing in God.
Yeah, because that was the whole point of his story. And he's a terrible, terrible person.
Yeah. I mean, so this first section is entirely establishing the fact that Josiah is a bad dude. Like, he is an alcoholic. He is abusive toward his son. He is just generally a jerk. It's pretty clear that he didn't care about his wife, it seems like.
Yeah, I think he had some problem with her. I don't know what it was, but yeah, he didn't like her. And as it turns out, all that is fixed when one night he suddenly wakes up to saw something else. He saw his wife come talk to him in the night, and then later she comes to him again with an angel helping. I don't know why there was an angel, but anyway, they all explain to him that what he and Tommy need to do is clean the house top to bottom and then, quote, right a great wrong so that they will save Miriam from hell where she currently is burning.
Yes, and that's a special task that's saved
Very
for
special.
Tommy.
Yeah.
So, like, the whole vibe of this first one is, ooh, Dad is problematic. He's tricking this developmentally disabled son into doing something we don't know what.
Yeah.
Developmentally disabled and deeply traumatized from his childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Pa has a vision, decides that he and Tommy are responsible for saving Miriam from the fires of hell, essentially. Because suddenly now he believes in God and the afterlife.
It all
and all
happened that night. That's what Josiah saw, by the way.
I mean, it is until the end, and then we find out what he really saw. What?
Is there more?
Okay, so part 2 comes along, and it's called Eli and the Slur for Romani People. And I am going to avoid using that word because I have been told by people who belong to that group that is considered a slur, and I am not going to use it. So
Yeah, it's not the only slur in this movie. People have strong opinions in this movie.
yes, but I'm not using any of the other slurs either. So
No, I didn't say you should.
So this section, we are with the boy of the twins that are Tommy's siblings. We're with Eli. And Eli is in a rough place in his life. Like, he is clearly a drug addict. He is having sex for drugs with people and getting himself into debt with people who you do not want to be in debt with, and then having to do bad things in order to pay off said debt.
Yes, and in order to pay off said debt, he is told that the Romani people who come through and have a carnival are on their way out, but that they carry ancient gold that the Nazis made, quote, by melting down the gold from the teeth of the people they killed. So this great gold that you're really going to like, they've got that in a box, and he and some other thugs are going to go sneak in and steal it on this last night that the carnival is in town. And it's difficult. Also, I'm not sure what it has to do with the rest of the story at all.
Well, they're not smart, these thugs.
No,
they're not good
they're
at their
not.
job. And basically, it seems like Eli's job is to just be there and, distract people.
That's what they said. But he manages to distract about 2 people.
Right, because he lets them take him to a different room, and he meets with a medium who, tells him, not his fortune, but, does a reading for him.
Yeah.
And says to him, "You are why she burns."
Yes, interesting words to hear, actually.
Also says you could not save her, which
Yeah.
at the time I was like, okay, I think I know what that means. I think that means that he wasn't able to save his mom from whatever caused her to decide to hang herself from a tree. But then by the end, that explanation doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Maybe, I don't know. We do get throughout the movie little flashbacks that are very, very unclear, but you can tell that something bad happened in the youth of these children, but you don't know what it is.
Right.
There's a lot of ooh, that's the barn we shouldn't go into because something bad is there.
Yeah, and there's ominous shots of the tractor that doesn't work. One of the very first things that happens is the engine in the tractor blows.
Until God fixes it.
I guess. Yeah, so he does a bad job of distracting the Romani people while his partners are trying to steal the gold. And of course they get caught. And then he happens to have some uncut cocaine or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, some drug.
Someone gave this to him in lieu of payment for something. And then he uses that, it's like Chekhov's uncut cocaine, because early on someone warns him that, like, it's uncut, like, it's, be careful with that. And then so he shares it with the monster guy who's keeping him from escaping. Monster guy goes down.
It's an immediate heart attack.
Well, it's funny that you said immediate and I said eventually.
I mean, for a heart attack, it was pretty immediate.
Yeah. I mean,
and they really played that up. I thought that was kind of dumb, where he was like, he's touching his chest, like, okay, that's his heart. Then he's like feeling his left arm and like, oh, okay, we understand. It's the left arm thing.
like we needed more than he just snorted a whole lot of uncut cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he goes down and Eli gets away.
But he doesn't get away right away.
What happens?
Because he knows that in the other room is the girl that he was accused of kidnapping, because it turns out these people, the Carneys, kidnapped her. And he's like, I want to get away, but I just have to be the good person I am and rescue her. And so he rescues her, and he's taking her away, and he gets chased. He barely makes it out of there, but he's a big hero because he saved the girl.
What happened? Where did he put the girl?
He took her to the corrupt sheriff.
Okay. I ask because one of the other things we learn about Eli is that he is on parole. And that's why the corrupt sheriff is checking on him. He's on parole because he got in trouble for messing around with an underage girl.
Yep.
So when he, air quotes, saved that girl from the Romani, I was like...
It was questionable.
And then we jump to the third part, where we meet Mary, the sister twin.
The sister twin.
Sister twin.
Yeah. Just a little hint of Hollywood sexism here. She has like half a story. Not even half. She has a little segment of a story before Eli jumps in and becomes part of the story, and it moves on from there. It's like, oh, I see. That was not as significant as the other two siblings for some reason.
Right. The fraction of a story that Mary has is that she and her husband are trying to adopt a child because she had a tubal ligation for some reason 20 years ago.
She was quite young, and that's odd. And the doctor notes that it's odd, but we don't know why.
We don't know why.
So we add that to our list of notes of what's going on.
Also, they have her go through, and this is probably normal if you're adopting, if you want to adopt a child, but they make her go through a psychiatric evaluation. They didn't seem to make her husband go through a psychiatric evaluation, though.
He was much more stable than her.
Was
he? It was
he?
appropriate.
Did he lose a hand to a loose seal? No, I think I have two problems with that in opposite directions. First of all, that if they're saying you have to get this evaluation when you are adopting a child, I think it's more Hollywood nonsense and misogyny that she is the one, the mom is the one who has to be evaluated. That's nonsense. And in the other direction, if they were just saying, we're just evaluating her because she has this traumatic past, then I'm like, well, that's stupid, because everyone who adopts children should be psychiatrically evaluated. Yeah. I feel like that is part of the legal adoption process.
I mean, it probably is.
I don't
But maybe he took his real quick and aced it because he's a very stand-up guy.
Maybe.
Also, he's played by Tony Hale, as Sully implied earlier.
That was just a little Easter egg for people.
Okay.
No, just kidding. So Mary is going through this like dramatic situation in her household. And then, as you said, ta-da, Eli shows up at her house. And
his whole deal is we're just going through the whole plot of this movie. That's all we're doing.
I mean, I feel like the plot is such a big part of, the plot is supposed to be a big part of all movies, but like, it's that kind of movie. It's not a like run around and bang into things and ghosts throw you off of stairways. It's the building of the story and figuring out what is actually happening.
Well, in that story, Eli, at the end of his story, got the letter from the oil company saying, we want to give you lots of money for this house. So that's why he showed up. He's like, hey, let's go back there and convince them to sell the house, and then I'll actually have some money and I'll be cool again.
I forgot earlier. It's 100% because of her background and that she's messed up, because she also is on medication that apparently her husband is counting because she can't be trusted to take her medication.
He's not actually such a great guy.
Okay, but maybe he's fine and she needs help and she's, I don't know. Because she's also having nightmares about stabbing her husband and herself in the gut with a knife.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff that happens in this movie.
Yeah, and she was super rude to some people who came over to their house, talking about like, oh, you'll be such a good mom. And she's like, you don't know that. You don't know me. Why would you even say that? I'm like, okay, girl, settle down.
Well, all of that, including the stabbing, is all related to the mysterious tubal ligation. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tummy troubles. That's what they call it.
Eli convinces Mary that they need to go back and be part of the conversation about whether the property gets sold.
And this is where we reach the larger twist to the film. That if you were just listening along, hey, if you've listened so far and you thought, I want to see this, go see it before we say anything more.
Sure.
Because we might be ruining it for you in a moment.
So what do you think the big twist is?
I know what the big twist is.
I'm just say what the big
which
twist
one
is.
is the
We don't
big
have
one?
to actually wait for them to go watch the movie.
I wasn't going to wait. I was just like,
yeah. So what's the big twist?
well, it's the Sixth Sense twist.
What? Tommy's not real?
No, Tommy's real.
Just kidding.
It turns out actually that when they were children or teenagers or something, the kids all together as a total team and in total agreement, those are air quotes, murdered Pa and buried him on the property. And they don't want the oil company to come dig that up.
Right. So this Pa that Tommy has been
Hanging out with.
chatting with and being abused by
that's
is not
something.
real. And I don't think Tommy's really even supposed to be there. Like, that place is supposed to be abandoned. But Tommy split up from his wife. His wife got remarried and she took out a restraining order against him because he keeps trying to see his son, but he's not all there. So that doesn't feel safe for his ex-wife. So he's got all this legal trouble going on. So he's been like hunkered down at the old homestead for a while. I don't remember how long, but he's been there and he's like being haunted by this memory or ghost or whatever of his dad, who is now telling him, or who has convinced him as Eli and Mary are arriving, that Eli and Mary were up to no good together and were doing naughty things when they were children, and that's why their mother killed herself.
Yeah. And
But Eli and Mary have a different story.
they do have a different story, that the mysterious tubal ligation is the result of a baby ending up in Mary as a result of Pa's doing.
Well, that was a whole lot of beating around the bush. Okay, yes, you are correct, though. So there's these two competing ideas of what happened and what drove Ma over the edge. But we do know that the three of them teamed up, in air quotes, everyone with all accurate and equal information, air quotes, to kill Pa out by the tractor.
The mysterious tractor.
And then bury him in the somewhere on the farm. But then everything gets like crazy wild because Eli finds out that Pa's body isn't where it's supposed to be anymore, and that it's in a chest in the living room now where Tommy's been talking to it. And Tommy is mad at Eli and Mary because of what Pa's ghost has been telling him. And Eli and Mary are, at first it seems like they're protecting themselves from him. And then maybe they're just trying to kill him. It was all unclear.
I don't know about that. I feel like they're like, what's going on? Because Tommy ends up going psycho and trying to kill both of them. And it didn't seem to me that they were doing anything aggressive. They were just trying not to die.
I mean, that's what we were supposed to think because we were supposed to believe this cockamamie story about Pa, who...
It's not that cockamamie.
Right, I mean, maybe Maybe it's not an if, either or. Maybe it's an and. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to believe that Pa is evil and corrupting Tommy, and he ends up killing Eli and Mary, right?
Yes, I think so.
He hits Eli with an axe. He stabs Mary, but she has a vision of him stabbing himself,
which I don't understand at all. But it means something.
And so they're dead, and I don't know, maybe Tommy's dead too. I don't know. I don't remember how it all wrapped up. But then that was the end of that part, and then boom, we're having a flashback.
Flashback time.
To the time shortly before Eli and Mary show up at the farm to talk to Tommy and Ghost Pa, and it turns out they're doing the nasty, and they have been since they were children. Well, except for the time where they were apart. But
yeah. So that was all lies, and Pa was telling Tommy the truth in his ghost form, which I think that was Tommy correcting his memories and going, oh, what I really saw was this.
So this wasn't what Josiah saw at all. It was what Tommy saw.
Okay. It could have been what Josiah saw back then, yeah.
Yeah, so we find out that, I guess immediately, and now I'm kind of questioning because Pa did not seem like a great dude, but
he's not great.
Immediately I'm like, oh no, Pa was innocent all along, and they convinced Tommy to help them kill him, and then
because Josiah saw
right, exactly, they were caught, and so either before or after Mary ended up pregnant, the mother killed herself, somewhere in there, there was a whole series of things. Mary got pregnant, mom hung herself, dad got murdered. I don't know in what order exactly all of those things happened, but all of that happened. And now it's they were just creepy twins and,
Yeah. And at the end, Ma's tree catches on fire and just burns up. And that's a thing. That's like a hellfire.
I guess.
Hellfire and damnation.
And so, the last question that I wrote in my notes, well, I had a question and then a statement. The last question was, so was this writing a wrong? So many terrible things happen here, and I'm not sure if we got to the, vengeance on the right person kind of place.
I don't think
because
we
it was
needed
that
vengeance.
I mean, it seemed like it was that kind of movie where it was we're restoring the balance and whatever. And then my final note was just everybody sucks here.
Yeah, that's accurate. I feel like it was about Tommy kind of building this idea in his head and this psychosis and then going after them. And that's sort of what happened.
I mean, I guess there's got to be some kind of supernatural element to it.
You think?
Because otherwise the timing is way too convenient. So Tommy ends up having all of these revelatory ghost interactions with his dead dad right at the same time that the oil company wants to buy the house and Eli and Mary decide to show up.
That's what makes it a story, Soli.
How did he know that they were coming? Because he knew they were coming. He got ready for them.
They kind of made it seem like he tricked them into coming. Like he rigged this up, but he didn't.
Maybe.
Because there was a real oil company.
Right. And because he said, oh, I expected you earlier, which takes on different overtones. I was thinking he expected them days earlier. He maybe expected them a 20-minute boink sessions worth earlier. It changes because you find out that they are in the hotel together right before they go see him. So he's like, I kind of thought you were going to show up an hour ago.
Yeah.
But so he says, I expected you earlier. He knew they were coming. He was cleaning up and getting ready for them. But then also he does say, oh, I got the letter from the oil company too. So somehow he knew that they were going to get letters and they were going to decide to come and try to make him sell the farm.
But how about this? He got his letter. And that started the whole thing in his head where they're going to come for this. And
then he started thinking about them and started thinking about
putting it all together and bringing Pa back.
It's possible.
Digging Pa up.
Yeah. I don't know. There was a lot of it got speedy and convoluted at the end.
One of my notes was that this is a whole Netflix series. Because, especially the whole carnival business was, tangentially related at best. And it would have been, kind of in the middle of the 10 episode series, just kind of
there would
Eli's
have been,
doing his thing.
Sure, there would have been like a whole episode about the fact that this girl went missing and that, Eli was kind of accused and suspected, but they couldn't blame him because he had whatever, some kind of excuse. There would have been a whole episode or two about that girl being missing.
And then Mary would have had some episodes about her drama, and
she would have had a whole story arc, you mean?
Yeah. And then it all comes together in the last few episodes.
Mm-hmm. We would have found out more about Mary and her marriage, because I don't think it was in a good place.
No,
and I don't know,
wasn't.
Is it because Mary has whatever trauma and mental illness that she's medicating, and her husband, it's just the stress of handling that? Or was there something more? Because I got like weird vibes off of him. And the fact that she stabbed him in her nightmare, it felt like there was more there.
Yeah.
And if you did a whole series, you could definitely like find things to put in there, even if there wasn't originally.
Yeah, a series.
Mm-hmm. Also, we could have seen more, like, when they were all kids, of Pa, like, being abusive toward them. Because we see him being abusive toward Tommy as an adult. And there's, like, I just kind of assumed this is how he's been all along.
Yeah.
But, like, we could have seen him and how he actually treated the children when they were kids. Because that really would have reinforced the idea that he was a bad dude and was the reason bad things happened. Yeah. This would make a good Netflix series in the style of like The Fall of the House of Usher or The Haunting of Hill House. Those were both done by the same guy, weren't they?
Yes, those are Mike Flanagan series.
I feel like Mike Flanagan could have made a series out of this really well.
Yeah, I think so.
Ratings. The fact that in talking about this movie, I wanted to talk about the way the plot unfolded.
In great detail.
That is something that happens when it's a movie where the plot interested me and where I felt like it unfolded in an interesting way. And I do think that. I think that there was an interesting story here. We were given pieces and details that were intriguing and caused questions in a way that kept me interested. And then those questions were answered. I feel like the answers were a little abrupt at the end. Like that last scene, that last final revelation of the fact that Pa was innocent, such as it was, it felt very abrupt, because then it was like quick scene and then boom, end of, movie was over. But honestly, I don't know, like you didn't need much more. Like it's not like I needed to see them having extensive conversation or anything. So
well, they had done the previous bit, the kind of running around with Tommy chasing them, in very much the style of these people are being persecuted wrongly by a psycho, and they're like, what are you even doing? So then it was like, a twist.
And that made me, like, I was truly, and I was well angry at them, because it was so much like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Why would you? I don't understand. Like they were such liars.
They were gaslighting the guy who was stabbing them.
Yes. And like, it was, I know they died, so like I guess they got their comeuppance, but I was angry when I found out that they had been faking it this whole time, and that poor Tommy was just like, it was just more trauma added on top of Tommy.
Yeah.
And it made me feel very sympathetic for the guy who ended up being the one who murdered all the people in his family.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's intriguing and interesting and makes for an interesting movie to watch. That being said, I'm not overly a fan of the incest storyline. Like that one, I don't know. It feels so easy in terms of like, I'm trying to rate horror. Oh, I know. Like this will make people recoil. And it does, but because it's a generally understood taboo in most cultures. Like, it doesn't, there's nothing unique about it. So I don't know. That always kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So I think with how well the story unfolded and how well, I think the movie was done well in terms of, all the technical elements of making a movie. I think that I will give this movie 3.5 cursed bars of gold. And honestly, it would probably have been a 4, except for the fact that I'm deducting points for going with incest as a horror plot line.
Okay. Yeah. Cursed Bars of Gold. That just further cements that segment about Eli's trip to the carnival as just being this random out of the blue, like a separate short story.
It's like a Twin Peaks kind of thing. Like there's just so much weirdness in this one 20-minute segment.
They're like, and he touches this gold and falls over dead because that's what a guy did. Yeah, that was some weird. I wrote down that that section was like a Tarantino movie. And it was all the crazy characters and just see what happens. And it was out of place with the rest of the movie.
Maybe it was that cursed gold that was in the briefcase.
Oh, in that movie, yes. I mean, it could be. It could be. I don't know. But I thought this was overall very engaging, and I was, left thinking so many times, how is this going to fit into the end? And except for, how I said, that Eli's little story didn't seem to connect to anything, it kind of made sense. It all sort of tucked together neatly. I did have a note, and I don't know when this was. I said, the music is unhinged. And I don't know if that applies to the whole movie. I can't remember.
Well, Pa/Tommy played records that were old-timey kind of records. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. The music was a little unhinged.
Yeah. So there were bits like shots and stuff that I really liked. There's one part where Tommy's been trying to murder his siblings, and Mary's in a room. She shut the door and she's looking at the door. I'll say she sees Pa next to the door just staring at her, and the door slowly starts to open and Tommy comes in. And I realized you can interpret that either way, but she never saw Pa. She was just hearing the door starting to open and just staring at that. And so there was no Pa there, but we got the Pa. And it was a nice touch. It was just a good little shot. And there's a lot of that throughout. It's very, very cleverly done and well directed.
I think if we were to go back and watch the beginning, that first section again, because people are talking about the house and they're talking about Tommy and the history of the house and all that. And then the parts where we're seeing Tommy interacting with Pa, doing things like they did. There was a shot, they were eating dinner and they were sitting on opposite ends of the table. Yeah. I think if we were to go back and watch that with the knowledge that Pa's dead and Tommy's not supposed to be in that house, I think everything would still fit. The alderman or mayor, or whoever that was that the oil guys were talking to, Assemblyman Gentry was his name.
Oh.
I think everything that he says would fit what's supposed to be happening at that house, not what we see happening at that house. But it was subtle enough that you don't notice it in the moment. You're not like, wait a minute, but they said that house was abandoned,
Yeah, and that's why I think, there's something more going on that I'm not really getting about the whole gold escapade that at least thematically is part of, tying it all together. And even though it seemed like it just basically all you get out of that whole segment is Eli's kind of broke and he's going to be real excited to hear there's a chance to get a bunch of money. But anyway.
I mean, it may be that there's some kind of through line about wanting what you can't have or wanting what you lost through some behavior of your own or, because then the whole I want a child, but I can't have a child piece also ties into it.
It's pretty deep.
Right. Tommy wants a family, Eli wants money, Mary wants a kid, that there's some kind of through story there.
And that reminds me that throughout the movie, I kept noticing, and maybe I was just noticing it because of the title, but I kept noticing people using the phrase I saw or look, just talking a lot about what they see. And sometimes it felt weird to me, they should have been saying, oh, there's a guy over there, but instead they say, oh, I see a guy over there. And I was like, is that, pushing that in, whatever that means. I don't know the deep meaning to that, but felt like a thing they were doing. There
were definitely several shots, especially of Pa, just staring out the window.
There was a lot of that.
And I think there were other people too, where we would see shots of them looking out the window for some reason.
Yeah, I think Mary was doing that when she was being all haunted in her fancy suburban home. So I enjoyed it. and I don't understand it that much, but I feel like there's something there to understand, so that's cool. So I give this 4 cursed bars of gold out of 5. Pretty good, but
That's
kind of
totally
weird.
fair. I mean, I think when I think about this movie, I think I could probably watch this movie again and understand it better and get more out of it because of how the story was told.
Yes.
And sometimes when they try to have twists, I'm like, yeah, I don't need to see that again. That was enough. But this one, I think you could benefit from watching it after seeing the whole thing.
Well, that's just great. So, kind of seems like the storm has ended.
Just in time.
Well, can we still watch a movie?
Maybe.
Well, then we'll tell you guys all about it next week.
Bye.
Bye. That's how electricity works. Sometimes you have to remind it which way to go.
Sometimes you have to unplug it and plug it back in again.
Yeah.